Well, hello, and welcome to ZBrush Live. I'm Kermaco, or Ara, and I'll be your host, I guess, for the next couple of hours. I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me okay and can see my screen. So let's start out with audio. If you guys can chime in and chat. Couple of the different services would be great. So if somebody from YouTube can let me know if you can hear me okay, and if somebody from Twitch can let me know that you can hear me okay, we can go ahead and get started. While we're doing that, do all the internet things like subscribe, leave a comment, and if you have questions, please ask them during the stream. And if you're watching this afterwards, you can always leave your questions in the comments, and hopefully somebody will get back to you. Something that is not in practice much, but yeah, I think it would be a cool thing if you guys see something I'm doing and you don't have an idea of what it is. You can leave the question in the comments, and somebody will get back to you. All right, so still doing the audio check and video check before I start getting going on this thing. So if somebody can please let me know if you can hear me and see my screen okay, then we can go ahead and continue the stream. All right, so we're still working on this same mech. I don't know what this is, and I don't need to see 12 of these. I think 8 is good. All right, good. Audio and video are good at my end, so good. We've got somebody from Twitch. Thank you, Polly Nudge. That's a great name. And all right, we've got Joe from YouTube mentioning that it's good too, so great. Thank you both, and we can go ahead and get started. Okay, so where we left this thing off last time, I think I was doing a little bit of work on some of the parts, and unfortunately, I did get a little bit of time to work on this, so I did work out some of these, and let me pick a brighter color here. I did work out some of the areas here. I thought, we were kind of doing the knees over here, and I thought it would look good with if this kind of cloth pattern just kind of continued down. So I gave that a try, and it worked out pretty good. And so, forgot to do this. It'll take me a second to do it, but it will. It looks like it's going to work. So what I need to do now is just kind of maybe put some secondary details and some clips and stuff on there. Let me make this just a tad bigger. Didn't mean to close that box, but again, not a big deal. So for those of you that are wondering what I'm doing, it's this radial menu that I use for from Wacom, and I use it just to kind of pick these 8, is it 8 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Yeah, one of these 8 brushes that I use most often, so I don't have to assign them to hotkeys or bring up a menu or anything like that. Anyway, so continuing on, Satish, thank you very much. Hopefully my viewers in Florida did get their power back and can see some of this. If not, hopefully it'll be soon. But yeah, anyway, so we're still working on this mech, and I think we're getting very close to being done with the modeling. I think last time we started doing a little bit of adding colors and whatnot. So we got some interesting things going on there. Today I want to work on this arm over here a little bit, which didn't look really good. I'm contemplating whether or not I want to make it cloth too, but we'll know today. So let me get started with that. And again, Jody, thank you for that. And let's go ahead and I'm just going to isolate this so I can see how the topology is. What I want to do here is with the Z-Modeler brush, get some polygroups going around the areas where it's going to bend. So polygroup, polyloop, and let's see. Yep, that's good, but it's not fully, you can see it's kind of not even, but I can fix that. As a matter of fact, let me do that right now. So I'm just going to mask edge loop complete, and I'm just going to mask this edge loop and then invert that mask, and then use the, I don't know if this is going to work mirrored. Let's see if it does. If it doesn't, I probably will need to turn on local symmetry, which I should do right off the bat. And then just put the gizmo over here this way, like that. And let's see if I can straighten that out a bit. No, I think I have the gizmo kind of pointing in a weirder, I think I want that to be more like this. So there we go, and let's see if I can straighten that out. Still not straight. Okay, so I think I'm just going to not do that one edge loop there, or I'll have to figure something else out with it. Maybe adding an edge loop here will do. So I'm just going to insert an edge loop this way. And then I don't know if you know this, but if you hold shift down when you're adding an edge loop, it kind of conforms to one side or the other. So if you have it in the middle, it will average out the two edge loops like that. So that's good. And I'm going to do one over here similarly, and then delete the one in the middle. So this kind of is more of an average of the two, and then maybe add one more over here. So it's getting a little bit better. The edge looping is getting a little bit better, and so now I just will polygroup this edge loop here, and it's kind of better than what I got before. So I'm happy with that, and then let's continue to add these poly loops. There's one there, and then there's one there. Okay, and I just kind of want to see how these go. Bring everything back. They're okay, and I can just relax these if I just hold shift and click let go of shift and just move my mouse around on them. That helps relax these edge loops a bit, like so, so they're more even. And then I kind of want these to be almost the same size if I can get it to do that. So I think I'm pretty close. I can always use the slide, edge loop complete, to slide these back and forth a little bit just to make those adjustments happen. There we go. All right, let's see. Thought somebody said something, but it's the Zbrush Announcements. So those are kind of nice, I guess. I don't know. You guys like them? They inform you of what's happening with Zbrush and different. Okay, this was the summit. They're talking about summit, which is kind of cool. Really looking forward to it. It's still not in person this year, but maybe next year it will be. Okay, so now I just want to QMesh, polygroup all, and then so I just want to QMesh these in, like so. And when I press D for dynamic, I kind of get this effect, and I just want to see what that looks like. It looks okay. It just still doesn't look as crisp as I'd like it, so I'm going to see if I can hit this with smooth and see if I can get a better result. Of course, I'm completely destroying what was there before, but that's okay because the polygroups are still there. Actually, there's even new ones, and I think this is a little bit more even. I'm just going to inflate these out a bit. And just trying to get this to be a straight piece. And this is kind of a good exercise as well, just to see like what I can do to see if I can make something like this work, which seems like I am able to do. And part of these streams are useful because, you know, I'm solving real problems and showing you the approach that I use to solve those problems. So hopefully you guys are this is helpful to you, and probably at some point Pixelogic, or I'm sorry, Maxon will parse these out so that these specific clips will be shown to people that are looking for stuff. Okay, so here kind of caught in a predicament where I just want to push these in, which I can. So I'm just going to do the same thing, QMesh. But now I'm going to just going to hold shift down and use the kind of the other polygroups as a way to let's see what that looks like. Okay, this is more along the lines of what I want, so that's great. Let's bring everything back. And that's looking kind of exactly like what I want it to look like, okay? So then this is one place where this is going to bend, this arm, right? So that's kind of a joint here. And then I was kind of hoping that I wouldn't have to do joints for this guy. I thought I would just be able to have it be some sort of kind of snaking mechanism, but I think it looks better this way. Leon, what are the differences between the HPO? I don't know what you mean by that. HPO. Oh, all these weird things are happening right now with the gizmo because I have the cloth gizmo. I was working on a cloth thing earlier, so that's kind of why it's happening. Let's see if I... Yep, it's still there. Let me do this real quick while I'm thinking about it as well. Preferences and delete quick save files. Yes. Free up some space there. Okay. What's the difference between the HPO? So yeah, tell me what you mean by HPO, Leon. I'm unclear as to what you are asking. All right, what happened to this piece? Oh, it's still got that cloth wonkiness. All right, here we go. Let's just bring it back to the way it was. And let's move this kind of over this way. So I don't know if you guys were here last time, but we established that this arm here, the front arm, is the propulsion arm. So this is kind of like jets or something come out of this, like either compressed air or jets or whatever, and it helps navigate this thing when it's got the balloons on the back. All right. So, let's see. Leon, I still don't know what your question is. If you can clarify, I'll answer it. Otherwise, I don't know what to tell you, because I don't know what you mean by HPO. Oh, what's the difference between the H-polish brush and the trim dynamic brush? Oh, okay, no worries. All right, so the H-polish brush is kind of, I guess I'll just go to something else here. Let me just go to the sphere and make it into a 3D object. Okay, so H-polish, it's basically like a sandpaper, right? So I'm just basically kind of sanding the curvature out, and it just wants to go to a flat shape, right? So as I'm continuing to do this, I'm getting more of a... What happened to all these menus? Oh, there they are. Okay. That's weird. Where did the brush menu go? Weird stuff happening. Let me just restore my UI here. Restored standard UI. Nope, didn't want to do that. Preferences, config, restore, custom UI. That's all we want. Okay, we're back. Right, so now I'm just doing this. See, it's kind of like I'm just using sandpaper on this sphere just to flatten it out. And it's really good for, like, you can do it this way too, and then do it this way, and then you're establishing planes. Okay, so that's what H-polish does. It just kind of does, tries to flatten the surface, but polishes it, keeps it initially when you're hitting it at first. It's keeping the curvature, but as you continue to do it, it will kind of make that area more planar, right? And it's a great brush for using for hard surface stuff. And then trim dynamic. Let's see, where is trim dynamic? Trim dynamic, here it is. All right, and so trim dynamic, I don't usually use that much, but it seems to me like it's kind of a... It does the same kind of thing, but it does it a little bit more harsh. So like you notice that with H-polish, I was just kind of, you know, it wasn't going in as kind of fast to get a flat surface than Trim Dynamic did. But Trim Dynamic is just basically gonna right away try to make that flat. So it's a similar kind of thing. It's just Trim Dynamic has a little bit more of a, you know, more of a strength to it. And one of the things to do with these two is, I think they're both the same. Okay, so if you look at if you point to the brush, so here I'm pointing to Trim Dynamic, and it says it's the base type of it is clay. And then if I go to H Polish, which should be here somewhere, are you H Polish? I guess I'll just do it this way, B H. And if I go to H Polish and point to it, it's of type polish. So there are two different kinds of brushes, right? So each of these brushes have their own different base type. So Trim Dynamic is based on, I forgot what it was. Trim Dynamic is based on clay, the clay brush, and then the H Polish is based on the polish brush. So when you go to the modifiers of these things, then they have different settings according to them. So if I am using H Polish, for example, you can see the brush modifier for this is at -100, the strength multiplier is at 1, and it's got all these different settings, constant tilt and whatnot. But if I go to Trim Dynamic, right, so you see the brush modifier is at 10, the strength multiplier is at 1, and then there's all these other settings as well. But the base brush of it is the clay brush, so it has kind of a different type of action to it than the H Polish does. So do I use Trim Dynamic? I do. It's in kind of my my kind of go-to brushes. There's also all the planar cuts as well, trim normal and whatnot. So there's a lot of these types of brushes that can kind of give you flat surfaces. It just depends on what you feel more comfortable with. But yeah. Anyway, so I guess the intention of all these brushes is to kind of Trim kind of wants to make things plainer, Polish wants to make things a little bit smoother, but if you continue on with it, it basically will make it into a plane. So if you want to get to that plane faster, use Trim Dynamic. If you want to kind of go to it slowly, maybe not even get a plane, but get like some sort of, flatter surface, then I would use H Polish. And I'm sure there's kind of a better technical explanation to it, but I think, from my perspective, it's just, it's funny. Every ZBrush artist I see has their favorite brushes. Some people like clay tubes, swear by them. Some people like, what's it called? Clay buildup. So it just depends on the artist and kind of what brushes you use. Like I always say, I have 8 brushes that I use all the time. They're right here. I can get access to them. Then the other set that I use are over here. So I have a menu for them. And I also have another menu that has a bigger set of brushes that I use. And then, of course, you can always hit B and get this kind of craziness. So, yeah. But I find myself, a majority of the time just sticking with these 8, and then some of the time I do my Control A to get the other brushes, and then, yeah. And sometimes, like if I'm having a problem where the brushes I'm using aren't doing what I want them to do, then I start like brush shopping, I guess, or trying to find a brush that does do what I need to do. Yeah, certain features, certain people use certain brushes to get some specific features that they use on their models a lot. Like Trim Hole is really kind of a useful one. Just to get tertiary shapes. All right, so I don't know how much of this I want to use. I want to see if I can even not use it. No, I think it's good. It kind of just reinforces this one area, like this kind of U shape. So I don't know if this U shape probably does not move, so this kind of just reinforces it. Again, these are pretty low poly objects, so I can just easily kind of put them where I want them. Oh, Leon, you're welcome. Hopefully that clarifies it a bit. All right, let's see. How many people do we have? Oh my gosh. Well, hello everybody. Thanks for joining us live. I always wonder how many people like to watch this live versus watch it after the fact. I personally like to watch things live if I can time it and don't have anything going on when it's live. I like to watch it live just because it's fun to interact and be part of a community. All right, I need a swig of tea here. All right, so what's new this week? Big hurricane. Still some global unrest. And kind of a bummer thing. I don't know if you guys watch him, but Trevor Noah said he's moving on yesterday, which is kind of a good thing. Like, I wonder if that's a smart thing or a dumb thing, because he's kind of at the top of his game right now. So I wonder if it's a smart thing for him to be like, you know, I don't think things are going to change much. I think this is as good as it's going to get, so I might as well do something else. Knowing when to leave something is kind of a good thing to be able to do. We had somebody from my team leave our team today too. Today was his last day. Kind of a bummer. But he's going to something better. Wow, quiet day today. Sometimes you guys are really chatty, but last 2-3 episodes, it's been really quiet. Yes. I think that's almost a requirement now. If you're going to be a late night show host, like, okay. I don't think he'll retire from completely. I think he'll do other things. I think he'll do stand up and, you know. I think he's got a lot of potential in a lot of different areas, so I think he should definitely, I don't think he's going to disappear from the public view. He might be gone for a while, but he'll be back. I would not be surprised if he doesn't take on one of the lead roles, like one of the other late night roles. James Corden is leaving too, right? So he might take that role. How about that? That would be nice. I think if you're on one of the channels, like the regular TV channels, then you make a lot more money than if you're on cable. That's probably what will happen. Watch, if that's true, you heard it here first. He's going to move to LA. And do late night. I don't know, though. Who knows? Because he was mentioning something about wanting to travel and do other things. Who knows? I mean, I'm just completely speculating. I think what's kind of strange is that he was the person that, I don't know why we're talking about this during this stream, but he was one of the best, like when everything kind of went online. I think his game was a lot better than everybody else's. Like he really knew how to play the online thing better than all the other hosts, because the other hosts were kind of like, you know, not as hip to being online as he was. He really knew what to do. So all right, other things going on. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it, but this week's Rings of Power was awesome. Damn. Those guys are really, really doing a good job with that story. I can't wait until, you know, like just the kind of the twists and turns in this episode were really wild. And it's such big shoes to fill too. So yeah. All right, ZBrush Summit, ZBrush Community, ZBrush Central. All right, all the good stuff. All right. I think that looks good. That looks good. This piece kind of is funky. I don't know what to do with it. I can't figure it out. I think this pointy part over here is really throwing me off. Let's see if I can bring it down. I think it's also the junction between this arm and that part is kind of funky too. So I'm getting very close to getting rid of it. Yep, I'm getting rid of it. All right. Sorry, I tried, it didn't work. What if I do something here? Anybody joining us from the UK at all? Just curious if there's any UK people watching. What time is it in Great Britain now? Oh, it's yeah, it's late night. Probably not. Probably not live. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to Dynamesh this thing and try and see if I can get something better out of it. So I'm just going to kind of take it down to low res and start using the clip curve to see if I can get something more interesting with it. And if not, I'm just going to get rid of it. Alright, just solo. Not solo, but let's get rid of these top arms. We're not really using them for anything. And I'll keep the hull. I'll keep, I think I'm going to keep this one right here. Legs. We don't need the legs for now. And we don't need these hanging arms either. All right, I'm just going to stick to these guys. Go back to here. All right. That works better. Is the subtool I'm using, has it been row polarized? I don't know what you mean by that, row polarized. How much time does it take for me to make a character? It depends on the character one. I mean, that's kind of like a weird question because you know, like that's kind of a hard question to answer because it is very subjective. I mean, if somebody like puts a gun to my head and says, well, how long does it take? You know, I can always say, well, you know, 2 weeks. But it always depends on what the project is and what the requirements are and everything like that. Like if I go to my website, for example, here I can give you an idea. Now there's two things that happen. One thing is how long does it take for somebody to do something, and the other thing that happens is you also, once you do something once, the next time you do it, it will take less time for you to do it. So the first mech that I did, which is this one right here, right, this took me almost 3 months. And I started this in Maya, then took it into ZBrush, and I did a lot of different things here. I made this brush, which took a while. It took its own like 2-3 weeks. And I made this whole thing in the back that snaps into it, and that took its own time. And then, you know, I was texturing it, different textures or whatever. So it took me a good 3 months to do this mech, and it was just a big undertaking, but I was just starting out. The next mech that I did, which is this one right here, the Gargoyle. So the Gargoyle mech took me about a month to do, right? So I basically didn't have to make that feed shoot. I'd learned a lot of things, and I was a lot faster. And I also just exclusively did this in ZBrush, which also makes things a lot faster. So, you know, so something like this would take me about maybe 2 weeks now. Maybe 2 to 3 weeks, a month tops. And when I say it takes me that long, it's not just the modeling, it's all the rendering and all the different kind of development and all that kind of stuff, right? And then this one also took me about a month to do, the Mantis. And so this one kind of happened while I was beta testing a version of ZBrush, so that's about that. But yeah, I mean, it just depends on how long it takes. This right here, so just to give you an idea, this piece right here, I did during the ZBrush Summit, and I did it live, and I did it in 3 hours. So, you know, it depends on the scenario, it depends on the requirements, and it's kind of hard because a lot of you know, a lot of people just ask you like, well, how long is it going to take for you to do this? And the best answer you can give them is, you know, to make the discovery of how long it will take part of the project. So, for example, you know, if they give you a brief of this is kind of what we need, these are the camera angles we need, this is the type of character we need, it's for a game, it's for a movie, we need this level of detail, these are the parts we're going to zoom in on, etc., etc. So as you kind of get an idea of what is required, then you can start kind of deciding how long it's going to take. And the worst thing you can do is you can tell somebody it's going to take less time and then have it take longer. And also there's a lot of people that basically lie online about how long things take. And it's kind of hard to see that too, because you look at it and you go like, there's no way this guy did it in this little bit of time. So, I mean, you know, look at some of the pros that do stuff, like some people that have worked on movies and whatnot. Look at their videos and you can see that they take their time doing their work, and so usually. It usually depends on the project. But again, like if somebody says, well, how long is it going to take you to make a character? I'll say, well, you know, I mean, more or less 2 weeks, but that doesn't include edits, and that doesn't mean it's going to be final. And it depends on how much feedback you're getting while you're working on it, right? I mean, my current process, you know, at work, you know, there's there's the work, and then there's a feedback session, and then we reconvene. Sometimes you do a week's worth of work and it doesn't make it, like they don't want to use it, so it's fine. That's part of it, right? And then you know, slowly but surely you kind of hone in on exactly what you want to do, and then you kind of I think my Dynamesh level, no, it's fine. So yeah, I would definitely say that the best thing to do is to you know, tell the vendor it depends. Can you tell me more about the project? If they say, well, you know, how long will it take you? And you know, we're not going to tell you anything unless you tell us how long it's going to take. And then, you know, the last thing you want to do is you want to give them a time frame and then not be able to meet it, and then, you know, lose future work, or be in a situation where you're not happy with their, or they're not happy with you, you're not happy with them. And always have a some sort of a contract where, you know, that scenario is outlined. I've had a lot of things where I was involved in it in the early stages, but then they decided to go a different direction, and that's all part of it. You know, it's nothing personal. It's just they decide they want to do something else. Or sometimes I get brought in. This happens more than the other. I get brought in to do clean up somebody else's work, or I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say clean up, but you know, come in and reimagine or redo something that somebody else had done. But yeah, all right. Let's see, a bunch of stuff. But curious about the process from concept to design, where you're at now. Beautiful. Okay, thank you, Joe. So the best thing to do if you want to get an idea about that is, and let me just bring this up so I can show it to you. If you want a kind of a soup to nuts, which is kind of a weird way to say it, but like if you want my entire process of doing something, the best way to do that is to go to the Gnomon Workshop, which is this right here. And why am I not logged in? Log in real quick. Right. And if you go to here, if you just look up my name, so the best way to do it is just go to Browse by Instructor, and then go to the Ks. Here, where am I? Nope, I'm not in the case. All right, so you go here, you find me. Right, there I am. And I've got two workshops, working on another one at some point, but not yet. But this one, designing a piloted combat mech, this one right here, this goes through my entire process. So it goes from my research stage to sketching with Medium, which I think is now called something else. It's Adobe something. And then doing rapid design, bringing it into ZBrush, and figuring out the shape, modeling the different components, and then texturing everything in Substance Painter, and then loading it all into Keyshot, and then compositing it in Photoshop. So this is kind of usually the process that I go through. There are shortcuts. Sometimes I don't go into VR. Sometimes I don't go into Substance Painter. I just do a quick painting in ZBrush. So it all depends there, but this would be kind of the place to go to watch my entire process. Yeah, this is kind of what I do. And where we are now is the other question you had. And the answer to that is we're almost done with the modeling stage. So I'm just going to finish modeling this thing probably. I mean, I think tonight I'll get pretty close. Maybe one more episode for modeling, but maybe I'll just do everything off screen if I have time in the next, because it's the next episode is in 2 weeks. But we're getting pretty close to kind of buttoning this one up. I just I don't want to do that locally. But yeah, we're pretty close to kind of getting to the stage where we're going to start rendering this thing. We did a little bit of painting last time. We'll do a little bit more. And then yeah, and then we'll render it. You know, I don't think I'm going to pose this thing. I'm probably just going to match that image, that AI image that this is based on, and then maybe do a couple other hero shots. And I kind of should mention this too. I do renders as I go along, and on my Instagram. So I don't know if you guys know, but it's always good to do a little bit of this at in every stream. But all my stuff is on this website, Kermaco, Kermaco.com. I'll be adding more stuff to this very soon. But I post all my new stuff on my Instagram first. So if you go to my Instagram, which was down at the bottom of that page, if you go to my Instagram, you can see, well, this is taking forever. Come on, Instagram. Hello. Here we go. If you go to my Instagram, now you see that I've done a render of it already. So this is using ZBrush Guides or Pablo's new blue pencil rendering filter. So I basically post things as I go. So yeah, there's that. And yeah, so I probably, you know, I'll be doing some renders maybe today in ZBrush just to kind of get an idea of how this thing looks, but I don't think I'm going to pose it. I think it's just going to be the kind of this pose that it's in. Maybe do a little bit tweaking, I don't know, and then just do a render of it in Redshift. I'm trying to do this one in Redshift if I can. And then yeah, and then we'll be done with this project, and then we'll start the next one, which is going to be bust. It's going to be a person's head. It's going to be, basically, it's going to be this thing. This is what I want to do next. So this is an image that I got right here. I got this thing from photo bashing a bunch of AI images, and I really like what I have here, but I want to see this in 3D. So my next goal is to make this in 3D in a stream. And I'm kind of incorporating AI more and more in my work, and I think it's good for just kind of getting some nice shortcuts. I've mentioned this many times before, but I don't know what people are freaking out about, because I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, I'm seeing more and more of it in pitch decks. I have to mention that, like, a lot of people that are pitching projects are including AI in their pitch decks, and a lot of it is not good, but it is good enough for pitch decks. So yeah, so if people are like, they're making their living making art for concept art for pitches, I think some of their work will go away. I still think, you know, a human can probably do a better job and do more qualified art than AI can. But if a director, if an author or whatever, if somebody's pitching something, you know, if they just want to get an image, they can just go type it in the prompt and get something and just throw it out there. A lot of it is garbage, though. A lot of it is really bad. I mean, I don't know, you know, like all the AI art that you see posted, the good ones are posted by artists, and then you don't see all the bad stuff, and there's so much of it. Like if you go to Midjourney, like you can scroll for days before you get a good image, and it's just junk after junk after junk after junk. So, you know, it's like, I don't think AI is saving anybody any time. I really don't think it's as dangerous as people are making it out to be. That said, if you do get some good images, then yeah. And also, you know, I think photo bashing AI stuff is a lot more useful than just, you know, eating it out of the box, so to speak. So, but you don't know. I mean, you know, things could get much better. Who knows? I saw Google had something that generated props with AI. That was kind of interesting. But like, I didn't care because I know exactly what those things are, and they might look good as little things around there, but not as a hero object. But I also get people saying that, well, that's what I do for a living. I just make those things, and now I don't have a job. And to that I say, you know, I mean, I don't know. You know, if you're making horseshoes and cars are coming in, maybe, you know, open an artisanal horseshoe store. I don't know. come up with a game, do something else. Which kind of sucks. I mean, that's kind of, you know, I don't mean to be aloof, but there are, you know, whatever you do, there are jobs that go away. A good thing to watch, I should mention, is if you have not watched it yet, and if you have access to it, is the ILM story. I think it's on Disney Plus or Apple TV. No, it's on Disney Plus. Yeah, it would be on Disney Plus. So it's on Disney Plus, and it is called Light and Magic, and it's the story of Star Wars, kind of the special effects of Star Wars, and it's amazing because you kind of see these people just being heroes and doing amazing stuff with the initial Star Wars movie, having it be all practical. Even the second one, I think, had a lot of practical stuff, right? And then you see over time, like how the practical effects, I mean, they're still there and they're still significantly important. However, you see kind of how digital stuff is coming in and taking over. And at the end of the day, you know, there are more people working on Star Wars movies than there were when they just did practical effects. So it did create a lot of jobs, although different ones. And if you really are passionate about doing practical effects, there's still a place for it. And I do see a lot of practical effects in modern Star Wars movies. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think things just kind of completely shift. So I don't know, that's my 2 cents. But, oh man, are there people just on a soapbox, just kind of, you know, I think, you know, rightfully so. I shouldn't say not rightfully so, but there's a lot of artists that are freaking out that their work is being used by these AI systems and they're not getting anything out of it, right? So, you know, like somebody just took a bunch of their images and loaded into this AI, and this AI is kind of taking away people's jobs, but I don't think it's taking away their jobs. I think they're good enough to have secured a good position. However, they feel like, hey, you know, if somebody's using my stuff, somebody's benefiting from my stuff. If a company's making money from stuff that I've done, then I want to cut. And that's totally fair. 100% fair. So yeah, this is going to be a big mess for a while. And then, you know, in the US, you can't copyright image that's generated by AI, but then somebody made a graphic novel generated by AI and they copyrighted it, and so there's a lot of conflict there. So what a mess. What a mess. All right, let's see. Somebody said something in Russian, which I don't understand, but what I will do here is load it into, excuse me, Google Translate. Oh, looks like a lion. Yeah, it was a lion. It was a Cecil the lion, which I don't know if you remember, but when the Zbrush Summit was happening, this news about this lion was just coming out, where this was this loved lion that everybody loved, and some poachers just went and killed it, and its name was Cecil. So my concept was that there would be this mechanical lion that would be watching over the other lions and making sure poachers don't kill it. But yeah, it was definitely a lion. All right, let's see. There are some new messages coming in here. All right, so more stuff in Russian, which I don't understand. A lot of stuff in Russian. Okay, so let me see here. I'll bring up Google Translate, no problem. And I should say in Cyrillic, it might not be done. It might not be Russian. Let me see here. Google Translate, and then we'll just pop your stuff into there and see what you're saying. Pardon the little interruption here. Okay, and it says, all right, so this is Russian, English. Oh, it doesn't figure out that this is, well, what's going on here? Let's try that. Happiness when a mouse has 2 tails. Okay. Must be like an old wise saying. Then what's this one saying? All right, weird statements. I don't know if these mean anything. Most that's actually pretty funny. That is pretty funny, Leon. Most AI images look like Christmas trees. That is pretty funny. Well, there's definitely a specific look to it. You know what I mean? Like, I can look at an image and go, yep, that's AI. Like, the eyes are funky. There's like 50 fingers. Like, the AI hasn't figured out fingers yet. Yeah, I mean, you know, like some things it does really well, and there are artists that really are using the stuff smartly in photo bashing by photo bashing them. But yeah, like there's just some stuff that's just not right. Like I don't know. Like how could AI not figure out faces or fingers or anything like that? You know, it's funny because this week I had a project that we needed to do on a movie prop, and so you know we did a bunch of different concepts on it, and then I tried a few AI ones, and they were ridiculously bad, like really really bad. And I spent a little bit of time, like I spent a good like 20-30 minutes trying to see if I can get something out of AI to look good, but nope. And it's almost like with every project, you want to just kind of see if AI will give you what you want. And most times it doesn't, so yeah. It does give you stuff that looks like Christmas trees, though. Especially like if you go to detail, like if you know, I remember in Midjourney, like I'd be like, oh, this looks good, let's get some detail on it, and the detail would just ruin it. So then I would kind of go get the earlier version and just res it up and just use parts from it. Yeah, it seems like I spent a bunch of time on these arms earlier, and it's a waste of time, but that happens. And it's one of those things where I know not to do that next time. All right, so I need to kind of put more of these grooves here, which over in this area, like because this area over here contracts and grabs the thing that this mech is picking up. Again, we're trying to not have this be a war mech, trying to have it be more like a, I don't know, some sort of, you know, rescue or peacekeeping or something like that, or maybe just an industrial kind of something that picks stuff up and drops it. Oh, this bullshit again. All right. Let's see if I can get rid of these things. I thought I did. I think it's this one. I'm just going to get rid of crazy stuff, sounding stuff. All right, let's see if I can... These are coming from YouTube now. That's weird. Okay. Block user on YouTube. Bam. Are these all different users? What is going on? All right. I'm going to reload the chat page, which I don't know if that means I'm going to lose stuff, but here we go. I think we're good now. Sorry about that, folks, but there's always people that want to spoil everybody's fun. Am I doing this model for money? I am not. I'm doing this model for fun. I do this kind of work for money as a job, but I do this stream I do for fun. This is kind of something you know, my thought process is I'll be doing this anyway, you know, just to kind of decompress from the work a week. And I like mechs, so I like making mechs. So this is just kind of my way of doing work outside of work, like doing personal projects, and I can add them into my portfolio or just do them for pure pleasure. So yeah, not for money. If I was doing this for money, I'd be working a lot faster, and I'd be making a lot more shortcuts. Because when you're doing stuff for money, then you want to maximize your time and the customer's time, right? So if the client is paying you, they're paying you for your time. You are not going to do as many kind of fanciful experiments and things like what I'm doing here. However, that said, sometimes they do pay you to do that. Every once in a while, I get a job where they say take as long as you want, but just give us a lump sum as to how much you're going to charge us for the project. They have deadlines, but they're not really, they give me way early lead notice. So, yeah. What is my real work? I work for a company called Autograph, which makes NFTs. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say they make NFTs. We make experiences for people that are fans of certain things, predominantly sports, but also music and all sorts of other things. And I'm just a concept designer for the company. Why? Okay, this is auto-saving. But yeah, that's what I do every day. So can you guys not hear me well? I'll just bring my microphone forward a bit. Haunted Folly is saying that the stream is super quiet. Does that mean my voice is quiet, or do you mean the chat is not as busy? Yeah, but my work is a lot of fun. I get to work on very cool things, and you can see it all if you go to autograph.io. Some of the stuff I work on. We're a big team of creative people, though. It's like I do. I mostly work in ZBrush, which is kind of fun. But I also do work in other tools as well. All right. I guess I'll wait for this to autosave. It's a good idea. I did a lot of work. I don't want to lose it. And I'll just take a swig of tea. All right, so it is super quiet. So the weird thing is that when I loaded, let me see if there's any settings in here that I can do. No, I'm just using the same microphone. It's connected. I wonder what is going on. My sound settings are going pretty low too. I don't know what the deal is. And I've got it cranked up like all the way to the end. So I don't know if there's some sort of interference or what's going on. But yeah, usually this thing jumps up to, I'm using OBS, Haunted Folly. Yeah, it doesn't save crash. It auto-saved. This is always a good thing. And if you just leave it do its thing, it's always good to kind of auto-save your work so that if something happens, you get it back. I randomly save crash, but yeah, if anybody knows, add a gain filter. Okay, let me do that. Okay, and where is the gain filter added? Filters, here we go. Audio filters, add gain. There it is, and let me just pump this up a bit. And you guys let me know, is this better? If this is better, then give me a holler. Haunted Folly, thank you so much. Oh, really? Great. All right. Thank you. This makes a big difference. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I can see the bar going up. I think they just did an update to it, like right before I streamed. This always happens. Like, you know, I go to stream, it's like 6:45 or whatever. I load OBS. They're like, oh, there's an update, and then you load the update, and also it breaks all sorts of stuff. So my chroma key stuff was broken, so I had to fix that, and then I guess this audio thing was an issue too. But you're saying now it's much better. All right. It's having a lot of noise though. Okay, so is it noisier? All right, let me just kind of tweak that filter just a little bit, because I cranked it up all the way. Let's just kind of move it to the middle. All right, how's this? Is this good? Oh, you just never update. I know. It all depends. Sometimes it's good to update. Sometimes it's not. It's just always kind of, sometimes updating fixes problems, and sometimes it introduces whole new ones. Excuse me. All right, so I know I'm kind of just tweaking around here, but let me kind of get cranking on this. What time is it? Oh, man. All right, I might go a little bit over today. I just kind of want to let you guys know. I think I started a few minutes later, so that'll work. All right, so Q1, doing the same things here, adding polygroup, polyloop, one here, not like that, although that might be a fun thing to try later. Nope, this way, geez. It's better when you zoom in when you do this, so you can see that little orange thing and the direction it's going to add that loop. Okay, there we go. And while I'm at it, I'm going to do these ones too. Pow, pow, pow. Right, there they are. Okay, so the sound's perfect. Watch mute. Watch mute. Okay, I don't know what you mean by that. Watch mute. Okay. I thought it sounded fine before. Louder is usually better. Users can lower their volume, but it's not possible to make it louder. Okay, good. Yeah, no, I didn't even know about this game filter. And looks like there's a bunch of other filters. I'll check those out later too. Do I have any advice for someone who wants to start streaming ZBrush? Yeah, start streaming ZBrush. That's my advice. Now, you know, if you're good at it, then do it. But if you're not good at it, then maybe, you know, try to get good at it first. I mean, it was a big adventure for me. I didn't know. I just kind of took the chance to do it. And I didn't know if I would be able to do it well or whatnot. But and I only do it for Maxon, for Pixelogic. I just stream on ZBrush Live. That's the only place I stream for now. I am looking to do my own streams at some point. I haven't gotten around to it though yet, but I will do that at some point and stream on Twitch, just kind of independently of this. And the reason why is because you know, it'll be fun to just do this more nights, and I don't want to, you know, impose on other streamers on Pixelogic's ZBrush Live. So I might do my own stream as well at some point. I know a lot of the streamers have their own streams. All right, now I'm going to QMesh, polygroup all, and just push these in like so. And I'm just going to work on these independently. So yeah, I just say I would say, like, try it out. You know, maybe do a private stream, have some friends of yours watch, and see if it's working. I mean, I had to do a few of those before I went out in public. But there's a lot of streamers that stream a lot of stuff, so I don't know. If you really want to do it, do it. And you learn along the way. Like, there's so much I want to do differently when I do my own personal streams. Like, I want to get a stream deck, and I want to get, like, maybe a nicer setup. So yeah, I don't know. There are some amazing, you know, I watch some streams on ZBrush Live that are pretty good. And I know that those artists have their own streams as well. They tend to be very similar, but they also are a little bit different. And also, you know, I mean, there are times where I go like, hey, I'm kind of working on stuff now. I wish I could stream it. Yeah. Anybody, there's something I totally forgot about. Anybody play the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 beta? That was so good. Yeah, maybe. Andrew Black says you can stream to a small community Discord channel. Yeah, you can do that. How do you turn off autosave in ZBrush? Well, Haunted Fall, I saw you had some questions. I'll answer those for you. And ZBrush Core is fine. You know, you can use that until you can afford the full version. But hang on. But somebody said something. I kind of want to answer it. I wish I could let you know. Oh yeah, that would be cool. Maybe they'll add it. Who knows? We'll see. But you can always subscribe too. Like, you know, if you don't want to buy the full ZBrush, you can always subscribe to it. It's not as expensive. And then you can just use the IMM brushes when you are subscribed in. How to turn off autosave? That's right. That was the question. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know anybody here read 1984, the book, or I don't think it was in the movie, but in the book, there's this TV that's always on in their world. And like they always announce stuff and and all that, and the thing is, you can't really turn it off. You can't turn it off at all, but you can lower the volume. So it's kind of the reason why I'm kind of saying that is because under preferences here, if you go to autosave, which is down here somewhere, if you go to quick save, so here's quick save, you see the maximum duration. And restoration, if you just pump these all the way up, then it's basically like you don't autosave, right? So it's in 45 minutes, it will do an autosave, and if you're not doing anything for 45 minutes, it will do an autosave. So what you could do here is you can just go all the way to 600 minutes. And if you do that, then basically it's like disabling autosave, but there's no turn it off button. It's just delaying it until 600 minutes pass, and chances are you probably will close ZBrush down and restart it in the 600 minutes. Like, I don't know anybody who has used ZBrush for 600. Maybe there are who's used for ZBrush for 600 minutes nonstop. All right, so these things came across nice. I might actually accentuate these a little bit more by Q-meshing these in a little bit more, like that. And let's see what that looks like. That looks okay. All right. When you cut and remesh. Yeah, that's true. You can definitely, I mean, Core, you can do a lot of stuff. I wish when I was first starting out that ZBrush Core was out there. I really do. I mean, I was lucky because I got ZBrush. So I got ZBrush in 2005, and it was like $450. And I mean, that wasn't, that's still a lot of money. And it was a lot of money at the day. But I mean, considering Maya was in the thousands and all the other programs like 3ds Max were in the thousands, like it wasn't that bad. And I did have to buy Maya at some point, which was a big hit, and then I had to start paying a yearly subscription fee, and now it's only on subscription and it's double the price. So I mean, considering how much CG software costs, I think ZBrush is still a bargain. But that said, Core is even a better bargain, right? Because you can do, like, if you just want to sculpt, you don't want to use some of the really advanced features in ZBrush. You just want to, work with digital clay, so to speak. It's actually not. You get basically everything that you need. And most ZBrush artists I know don't really use the full capacity of ZBrush anyway. A lot of people would be just fine with Core. But better results for edges when I cut and remesh. So what you're saying is you do something like, let's see, did I keep that sphere? No, I didn't. So let's say you have something like this, and you're going to do a cut, like knife curve or something like that. Let me make this into Polymesh 3D first. So like you do something like this, right? And then this is what you get. So, you know, the inside topology is good. This topology is decent, but then you get all this kind of messed up stuff. And then if you remesh this, if you zero mesh it, right, you're going to get, I mean, this is not bad, right? But these edges kind of have a little bit of an issue. So what I usually do is if you polygroup it, right? So this is polygrouped, this is polygrouped. Do zero mesher, but keep the groups. This is going to give you much better results, right? So there you go, right? So this edge is a lot cleaner. And this works, you know, I mean, I did a kind of a straight slice, but even if I do a kind of a wonky slice, like something like this, right? So same kind of thing here. If you just zero mesh it, but you say keep groups, it gives you better results, and you still keep maintain those kind of crisp edges. Now here, I would like these edges to be crisp too. So I'm going to do one more step, and that is to polygroup these into different groups, right? So I'm just going to go here into polygroups, and I'm going to say groups by normals. So here I'm just going to group this. I don't think I meant to do that. I think I can just do it another way to do it. I mean, groups by normals will work if you kind of tweak this, but there's a faster way of doing it, and that's if you do polygroup and flat island, like, you know, you do this, that's a group now, you do this, that's a group now, and you do this, that's a group now. So if you want to do different groups, which I should have done, is just tap Alt, and then that will create a different group. So now I've got 3 different groups. Now these middle ones, it kept as a group as well, which is fine, right? I might just kind of look at this and see if there's something I can save. Like here, there's a weird thing going on where I can, I'm just going to go to polygroup, a single poly, like this polygroup. I'm just going to take it and make this that color. And then I don't know why it made this sliver that color. So there's an automated way to do this as well, which is merge straight groups. That sometimes works. But it's just a few polygons here, so it's not really going to matter. It's not going to take too much time. So here I'm just going to copy this polygroup and maybe grab this one. Oops. I think I'm doing edge operations here. And this one, I'll make it that color. And then I think there's one over here. So sometimes you just have to do just a tiny little bit of manual work, but there it is. So now you're going to do the zero mesh again, right? So zero mesher, keep groups. And then you're going to get some really clean edges. Here you go. Like, look at how clean that is. That's clean. This is clean. They're all really clean, right? And so you've got much better topology going on here than you would have if you just kept it all as one polygroup. So polygrouping really helps with cutting edges. Have I tried sculpting in Blender? You know, I would say yes, I have tried sculpting in Blender, but that's basically all I've done. I haven't really you know, gone, okay, I'm just going to sculpt in Blender, just because, like, why? I have ZBrush. Why would I even mess with that? But if I was at a job where they only had Blender, which is very rare, but if they only had Blender and I had to sculpt in Blender, I would probably be able to do it. I'd probably try to spend a lot of time figuring out how I can do the same things I do in here, but do them in Blender. A lot of it I wouldn't be able to do. You know, actually, there was a really good video, and I don't know if I still have it somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Because I highly recommend you watch this video. It's a really good kind of distinction between Blender sculpting and ZBrush sculpting. And I haven't seen, I mean, I've seen a lot of different videos, people saying different things all over the place, but I've never seen it mentioned so clearly. And let me see if I can just find that video. Okay, this is not it. this is not it either, is it? No. I don't think, is this it? Just give me 1 second here.
You could email an urgent question to Lisa.
Oh man, I need to get a, one of the things I want to do is get a pro YouTube account so I don't have to, yeah, here we go. This is it right here. This is it right here. I'll just leave this up. It's called Blender versus ZBrush Honest Comparison, right? So I will put the URL in the chat. Like that. So you guys watch that. It gives you a really good idea of the difference between what it would be to do the kind of work that you do in ZBrush versus doing the work in Blender. And I think this is the best explanation I've seen of this argument than I could ever make. So I would just recommend you watch that video. Okay. Okay, let's see. Have you ever tried? All right, amazing. Okay, good. Aim on. And then Blender subdivide seems odd. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just tried a few brushes or whatever, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, but why would I do this when I can sculpt in ZBrush? Blender has some very other cool stuff that I really like a box cutter is really cool. Some of the rendering stuff is really cool. Eevee is nice to just kind of bust out a nice render. So there's a lot of really cool stuff in Blender. I'm not, by any means saying Blender is not good. And man, you can't beat that price, right? Even though you still have to pay for all the cool plugins, but still, overall, I think it's a good deal. It's a good deal, and it is a good tool, and I'm really happy it's there, and I wish it was there when I was a kid because it would have made a big difference. But I definitely am happy that Blender is there. Compared to Max, I haven't used Max forever, so I know it's pretty neat. I know they've added a lot of really cool stuff lately. And I know some people that just live and die by Max, but I haven't used it for a very long time. As a matter of fact, interesting tidbit is I had old versions of Max that I like boxed versions. Like I had 3ds Max, like from Kinetic. Was it Kinetic? No, what was it called? Connect? No, it wasn't called Connect. It was Kinetics. So I had that box. I had the boxes from when they were Discrete, bought them, a company called Discrete. So so I had, I kind of didn't have room for them in my place, so I just offered them up. And yeah, so I mean, I adopted Max early when it first came out, and I thought it was really cool. But then I went to Softimage, which was really amazing. And then that died, and then I just ended up in Maya. And then ZBrush. So I still use Maya. I have to use it for work, like everybody uses Maya. But I'm learning Cinema 4D just because of Maxon, and actually it's got some cool stuff. Learning Redshift. So it's an ever-changing thing. But I think I'll always use ZBrush. I don't think I'll ever stop using ZBrush. I think it's my primary tool. All right, a bunch of stuff here. Yes, Comics Legend, that's exactly what I do. I just use Dynamesh to kind of, like I just did that with this part, right? Like I started this part out with Dynamesh, and now I start kind of refining it, getting the shapes that I want. So I kind of got the general gist of what it does, so I kind of like this shape that it has. So now that I've got that, now I just kind of hone it in. I did the same thing with the knees, and you can watch it in last week's thing that I did. And that's over, where is it? Legs. Right, so these things over here, I basically started sculpting, and I think I still have the original ones, right? So these ones, I started sculpting, and these are, I think this is still Dynamesh, right? Yep, it's still Dynamesh. So I just kind of started, getting it to a shape that I want. And then I was going to start breaking it up and putting it in different parts. And then I just got the idea of like, well, what if I just duplicate that and use the dynamics feature in ZBrush to just create the you know, these kind of knees as kind of a cloth part and not a hard surface part. And I don't know, oh, because I'm on it. Here we go. Nope. Which one do I need to deselect? These are the hard ones. These are the cloth ones. But somehow, what's this? Okay, these are the ones I don't need to see, right? Here we go. Yeah, so I just basically got this to be more of a, you know, I got this to be more of a, you know, kind of organic piece. I'll probably put some pieces in here just to kind of break up this whole kind of cloth thing, but it just came out this way. And now I did the exact same process with this, with the arms. Just minimize the legs. We don't need to see them. And if I click on that, here we go. Right, so I'm doing the exact same thing here, but this isn't going to be cloth. This is actually going to be geometry. So right now I'm basically using Damien Standard just to figure out the planes, and then I'll use H-Polish to just kind of break this into different shapes like this, and then I'll zero mesh it. I might even retop it sometimes if I need to. Do I ever use 2.5D space? Daylight Phoenix is asking. I used to. I used to do some 2.5D stuff a while back, but I haven't recently. I have to be honest. Not really. I just basically jump right into 3D, which is weird because like when I first got ZBrush, like the 2.5D stuff was amazing. It's like, wow, you know, the Deco brush and all the other cool stuff that you could do with that. But recently I don't have the time. Like I wish I had a project at some point that actually did use it or did require it, because I do remember some of the features of it. Okay, so still Nightbot stuff. Can we see? Yeah, you can see me do this piece right here. Of course, yeah, I'll do that. I mean, I've got like a long time to go, so yeah, I'll be doing that anyway. So sure, yeah. So I'm just basically now figuring out that it's going to be this, like that, and I'm kind of thinking, all right, let's see how much. You know, I'm just trying to kind of find the borders for it. So it's going to be something like this, and then there's going to be another plane this way. That, and then one like this. So I'm going to see if Zero Mesher can give me something decent. If it does, great, I'll just use that, and if it doesn't, then I'll just retope it. All right, so you see what I'm doing here is just kind of establishing where the different edges are. I cut a little bit of a chip in here, so like this is probably going to be a plane right here. Solo this piece out. I can work on it. Did I actually? I did cut a piece out of it, didn't I? That's fine. I'll just zero mesh it. But yeah, I didn't realize I was using knife. I thought I was using clip, but that's fine. All right. So H-Polish again, trying to establish the planes. And then what I can also do is I can just mask that and polygroup it. Where are you, polygroup? Have that somewhere. I guess I don't. I'll just do it from the menu. Polygroup mask, clear mask right here. So now I've got a polygrouping going on here, and it's not going to be perfect, but that's fine. And I can do the same kind of operation here this way. And let's say I want this piece to extend over to here and extend over to here. polygroup clear mask. So now I've got another polygroup. It's still not exactly what I want it to be, but that's okay. I'll do the same thing here. Polygroup mask, clear mask. I'll do the same here. And this is just one of the ways, right? I mean, I use different ways sometimes, but I'm gonna choose this one for now, just because it's a fun one. There's another one. There's another one. And there's one more. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and say merge stray groups. That gives me something a little bit better, and now I have to actually go in and manually do a little bit of work here. And again, I don't really need to do this stuff, but I will. Polygroup a poly. So now I'm just going to click on this, hold shift to absorb its color, and then just start, you know, kind of doing a little bit more detailed work. And if these need to be a little bit bigger, I can always use the polygroup by brush. But I don't think I need it here. And one thing I want to do here is I'm going to do nothing for edge and do nothing for point, just so all I'm doing is just painting polygroups. So there's that. And maybe there's a faster way of doing this too, I don't know. Like I could probably have done it by normals, but this isn't actually too bad. Right, so there. Right, and the other way I was talking about is just, you know, instead of doing a single poly, just do it by brush radius. And then you can just kind of just do this. And then you can kind of get bigger chunks of it. It looks like this is the same polygroup though. It's kind of weird. Maybe I just didn't alternate it. So here, maybe do this. Like that. Okay, so now here, is this the same one? No, I guess it's not. Right, so I just picked a different polygroup. It's just as easy. Now I'm just kind of doing bigger chunks of it this way. And again, I don't really need to be that precise. I can always go back and say merge stray groups here again, and it just kind of does some of the work for me. Okay, so now I'm kind of getting a different part there, and I can go here and just absorb this part. Fix this corner like that, and then I'll absorb this part. And when I say absorb, it's just if you hold shift, you get the polygroup that's under the cursor. Okay, so this is kind of bleeding a little bit into here. I mean, you know, again, you can be as precise with this as you want. Now notice that this is really not happening on one side and not on the other, even though I've got, well, I guess I don't have activate symmetry on. But it's fine, I can just smear and weld this. Of course, it's going to do the other one. All right, here we go. And I wonder if it is going to do it on both sides. Let me see. So here, if I pick this one, absorb it. Yeah, it does both sides. It does do it mirrored. That's cool. Certain things don't work mirrored, but that's fine. All right, so just kind of doing this. And let's absorb this again. That. So you can see I'm doing bigger kind of chunks of it this way. And I'm just going to, oops, I don't want to bleed into there. I guess I bled into here too. It's fine. And then I'm just going to continue this down like this. And if I want to make a bigger area, I can just make my brush size bigger, right? Go. And so what I'm doing here is just kind of creating the different polygroups so that ZeroMesher can separate these out. Again, I'll do the merge stray groups, see if it gives me something a little bit better. Absorb this one. It does take a little bit of time. And sometimes I don't even mess with this. I just basically ZeroMesh it and continue ZeroMeshing, but let's see what this gives us. Okay, so I'm just going to go and say ZeroMesh, keep groups. Let's see. All right, well, that's actually not that bad, right? So I do have some straightaways, and then I'm just going to do merge stray groups here, get some different grouping going on. And then the other thing I can do now is I can just go to polish. And so like I said, this is just one way of me doing this, polish by groups, and then that kind of creates more of a harsher edge around the parts. I just go to H polish and flatten these things out a bit. So they're not as round. And then I can do another zero mesh. And I think my zero mesh is set to half. Yeah, that's why. All right, let's just keep it at the same, same number of polys. Here we go. All right, let's see what that looks like with the rest of the model. Well, it kind of is kept some of the things that I wanted, but it's, more of a hard surfacey kind of shape. So I'll just continue that. And some of these, I probably should have spent a little bit more time on some of these parts to get them to work better. Maybe did a little bit more painting of polygroups, but this is one way of doing it. And like this angle over here is going to give me trouble. Let's remesh it one more time. And at this point, I can just, tell it to ignore the groups and zero mesh. It'll probably just give me similarly good stuff. Yeah, here we go. So now that I've ignored it, it's giving me a little bit better edge stuff. And if I turn adaptive up a little bit more, it'll give me more kind of looping around the edges. So that's kind of good. This is still a bit of a fight over here, but it's not bad. Neither is this. Okay. All right, so now I've got, zero mesher is giving me kind of decent topology that I can sculpt on. I still see a little bit of unevenness around the edges, but I think it'll work. Oops. All right, so now that I have this, right, I can just, I'm going to do one more zero mesh. Right. And I'm going to turn off polyframe and just look at it based on just geometry. Just a shape. That looks good. This little piece is poking out here, so I'm just going to push it in. And go to AccuCurve with Move. That way you can get sharp corners. And I don't know what is going on here, but I'll fix it. I think this just needs to come out more. And this needs to come out a little bit more over here. And I'm getting pretty much the shape that I want. You can see like it's more congealed into a hard surfacey looking shape. And then just bring this out like that. Get some corners going. All right, so now I have it. Now I just go and subdivide this. So Control D, I get a different level of subdivision. And then just go to H polish and just straighten some of these out. So this is how I sculpturally kind of do the Dynamesh process, since you guys asked. And by the way, what I'm doing here is I'm using H polish, but with Alt pressed, which basically lifts up the shape. And I'm just trying to see if I can get some sort of a straight shape here and a straight shape here. That thing is poking out still, but it's not that big of a deal. And you can see how I can get some really cool corners here. So this is something interesting here that I need to negotiate. And then here, again, I'm using Alt just to pull this out and straighten it out this way. Now, the challenge is this kind of link up between this shape that I just made and the shape that's inside of it. So I have to kind of figure out what to do there, but I think I've got an idea. Control W to polygroup. Yeah, Control W will change everything to one polygroup. That's correct. So here, if I have like multiple polygroups, let me just I'm going to delete the lower subdivision level. I don't need it. But if I went in here and, you know, did this, like you see how this is all two different polygroups. So I control W, it's all one polygroup now. I can crease polygroups and control the crease as well. Yep, that is correct. That is correct. I could have done that as well. And I could also beveled, creased and beveled, definitely. But I didn't decide to do it here because I don't really need to. I just need to get this to look like some sort of a piece that would be connected over here. And now I got to think about, okay, well, this piece is there. Like, how is it assembled? So I just need to H-polish this back part. Like, how does this piece connect up, right? So then I got to create some cut lines on it to figure out like how this thing opens and closes. So if I look at it this way, I mean, it's still a little bit soft, but it's not bad. Maybe I can put like a cylinder in here that would kind of break that up. Sharpen these corners a bit. Get rid of this little corner over here just by adding a little bit of that to it. Same with this. That didn't come out as good as I wanted, so I'm going to zoom in, choose a smaller size brush, and just chip into it this way. Here we go. All right, and then Damien Standard to kind of bring this out. There we go. You can kind of see how I'm getting, you know, an organic shape, kind of getting less and less organic and more hard surface. And let's add some cut lines into here. So for cut lines, I mean, I can just kind of start them up with Damien Standard. So maybe I can, you know, again, this is just a sketch. I'm going to be undoing a lot here, but let's see what this looks like. Like, what if I do something like this? That works. So this kind of thing here would pop off as a panel. There'd be stuff inside of it. So yeah. And I can either break these up or I could just keep them the way they are. Definitely needs to do something inside here. Did a no-no, which is went to the corner, and these cut lines usually don't go into the corner. They go into something like this. And there's, you know, like a lot of ways to do cut lines, but now I'm just sketching the cut lines just to kind of get an idea of where they would be. And that looks good. I might, I think a good idea might be to use group loops for these and pop them out that way. I'm just going to take this one all the way in. Yeah, so you can see here I'm still sculpting, but I'm sculpting to get a hard surface shape in the end, not you know, organic. Kind of like that little divot I added in there. Again, I'm just going to make this smaller. You know, it's kind of funny with this thing right here. I'm still at like subdivision level 1 on it, on this arm. And I'm just going to, at this point, add 1 subdivision level. So you see how it just got really soft? So I don't want it to get that soft. I'm just going to subdivide it without it being smooth. and then do one more subdivision where it is smooth. So now I've got a little bit of that kind of initial crispiness, and then I can always, like you see here, it's kind of wobbly, so I can always go down in subdivision levels and fix that, and then go back up. All right, I think these parts would look good panel looped, so I'm going to see if I can do that. 49. All right, still trucking along. You change your keyboard every 2 years. Well, I think for a couple of reasons. One is because I wear them out. So, and I wear out specific keys. And that might not be the case anymore. I used to use Microsoft keyboards. So I used to work for Microsoft a while back. And they used to have really good keyboards. So I used to use those. And I used to do a lot of typing. So I would wear them out. Like certain keys would not work after a while. So after 2 years, like if you looked at my keyboards, like the letters would have disappeared, and like some of the keys would just not, register as well. So I would just get a new keyboard, and like getting a new keyboard, there's a fresh feeling when you get a new keyboard. The keys feel nice and clicky and whatever. But recently, I've gotten a blue clicky keyboard, and that's I don't know if you guys hear the clicks when I'm using it, but it's this Logitech one. So with this one, if the keys get bad, I can just replace the little clicky thing inside of it. It still has the issue with the keys kind of the letters disappearing or whatever. But I like this keyboard because it's backlit and it works really well. So I might not be doing that anymore. I might just be getting parts for this keyboard and just continue using it. Because I mean, I feel bad when I use up a keyboard and just gonna, be, it's gonna fill a landfill, and I don't usually want to waste anything. So I think this keyboard will last me a lot longer. I do still have some of those old Microsoft keyboards though. Like I used to buy a bunch, and since I work there, I used to buy a bunch, and then, once one started kind of having problems, I just chuck it and get a new, use one of the newer ones. But I don't think they're focusing on keyboards much anymore. I mean, they still make them. They still make keyboards. They still have the ergonomic keyboard or whatever. But I don't think they're, I think they kind of moved off of that business a bit. Which is unfortunate because they made some really good keyboards. Okay, I'm just zero-meshing this again. Oh no. Don't crash. Ugh. I'm just going to wait for it. Yep, here we go. All right. Since this happened, I'm going to quick save. All right, let's see. Any questions? The other thing is mice. Like I go through mice as well. But I've recently gotten, like, before I used to use kind of, desktop mice. But now I've gone to gaming mice, and they last a long time too. So gaming mice, gaming keyboards, they have a lot more lasting power than the business stuff. And right now I'm just using both my mouse and my keyboard are Logitech. But at work I use a 3D connection keyboard, which is really good. I didn't really realize that a keyboard could be really, really amazing. And that 3D connection keyboard is really good. And I like it because it's got a separate keypad. So I put the keypad kind of aside for when I need it. and I put it at an angle, so it's not really connected to the keyboard. And the keyboard, the keys are really nice. They're good to type on, and they're good to use as well. And I use a different kind of mouse there too. I use a I want to say Steel Series. Is that what it is? I forget the name of it. Let me see. What? It's not this one. Where is it? It should come up. That's weird. Let me see if PC Mag has, like, they have the top 10. It's got to be one of these guys. Razer? Is it a Razer mouse? Maybe it is Razer. I'm not sure. It's either Razer or it's yeah, it's no, it's Steel Series. That's what it is. It's a Steel Series mouse. That's the one I use at work. And just because that's kind of what they had there, and I tried it and it was just fine. So Steel Series at work, Logitech at home. But, you know, the thing that is kind of bulletproof, and I haven't changed it for a long time, is a Wacom tablet. I change the nibs quite often, so I run out of these things a lot. Like I change one every, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months. Like they, you know, they really wear down. And also, I haven't done it yet on this one, but I usually change you can actually take this part of it off and then put another one on. I haven't done it for this one, but the previous one I actually had to get a new surface for it because it was just worn down. And that's why I don't, you know, I wonder like what people do when they have a Cintiq. Like, do they change? Is there something on top of the screen that gets changed? I'm not sure. All right, so this is kind of, I think I'm working way too hard on this subdivision here because what I wanted to do initially, and I'm just going to undo this as much as I can. What I initially wanted to do was panel loop this, so I'll do that. 81 undo steps, yep. So I just want to do that as panel loops, or I could even retope it. I don't know. I might just retope it. I could do that too. Azuron Cyborg Gaming keyboard. Wow, I haven't even heard of that one. I think $200 is a lot of money for a keyboard, right? But I don't know. Maybe not. And mine was kind of expensive, but it wasn't $200. But if it's worth it, it's worth it, right? Let's see. Cintiq has a screen protector. Oh, it does? Okay, so you can just change that out. That's good to know. Haunted Folly. Okay, so somebody has an interest going strong into for and use overhead transparency sheets to save nibs. Yeah. Wow. I didn't even know you could do that. I didn't even know you could put a transparency thing on it. I might try that. I mean, nibs aren't a big deal, you know. There's quite a few that come with the thing, so I think I only ordered a set once, so I just basically use whatever comes in the base. Let's see. Now you've piqued my curiosity about this Azuron thing. I want to check it out. Oh, wow. Holy, yeah, that's pretty wild. So you just kind of stick your hand in it? That's pretty weird. Huh. Why is this thing $200? Yeah, this is really interesting. I'll definitely look more into it. One of the things I do have is I have one of these. I don't. It's not this Tartarus one, but I have an Orb Weaver. It's called. It's one of these like keypads. I used that for a while, and that was pretty good. Definitely sped up my workflow. All right, so here I still need to kind of figure this thing out. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to mask and polygroup. So here's kind of, now that I've got this more resolution on it, I can just probably pull this off. So this would be a neat trick to show. But yeah, that it feels good to, okay. 3 buttons per finger. Wow. You know what would suck about something like that is maybe it is good, you know, and I'm saying that not, you know, thinking it's not, but maybe it is good. So I'm just going to do this thing here, Control W, to get this to be one polygroup, because that's just basically the only thing I'm going to map. I guess there's another one here. How does this one go? But the thing I would worry about, and I worried about that with the Orb Weaver too, is like you get muscle memory trained to use that keyboard, right? And then Azeron goes out of business, which is very possible, right? And then you've got all this muscle memory. You've got the Azeron keyboard that you have. Maybe you bought an extra one. I don't know. Then, you know, if you want to get one, they're going to be really expensive. And then over time, like, it's going to be impossible to get. So that's what I would worry about, is that, I mean, I know Wacom is going to be there forever. Or if they're not, like some tablet company will. So stylus is pretty natural. To me, a keyboard there will always be a keyboard. There will always be a mouse, but there might not be an Azeron thing at some point. I don't know. Like if some big company bought them, then I'd be like, wait a minute, okay. But if they're just like a small company and they just have that, all right. So here, what I did is I just kind of masked these areas that I want to be a polygroup. So here I'm just gonna Q1 mask by polygroup. I'm on edge. Mask polygroup. Island. Bam. And then add a little bit more to it. Control W. I do have some little things sticking out there, but I'm not going to care because I'm just going to do polish by groups. Like so. And that gave me some stuff, but I still don't like it, but I can fix it. Yeah, the Razer thing's pretty good. And I think I think it's owned by like a big company, so they're going to be around. I don't think, there'll be some version of it. Although I must say that when I first bought it, it was a different company, and then like the software for it didn't work for a while. Like I had to use the old software, and then there was some compatibility issues and whatnot. So it wasn't a seamless thing. It did have some issues, but it is pretty neat. So instead of kind of sticking to a corner of a keyboard, that thing was really convenient. I go back and forth. Sometimes certain things work well, sometimes they don't. So I'm just trying to kind of get these to be more. I'm actually going to subdivide this. Oops. Delete lower. I just want to get like more straight lines here, so polish by groups. because I just want to panel these things out, and then I can re-dynamesh them or re-zero mesh them. So this is good. This is kind of funky over here. I'm going to see what I can do with this. Let's see. Maybe there's a little bit of a lip over here. Like so. Let's see if this is working. And no, it's not. All right, so I just need to mask this. Now here's an area where I probably, you know, I will try and do this with H-Polish, but it's going to take forever. So I might use some kind of maybe trim dynamic will work better here. There we go, it does. Right, so here's a good situation where I wouldn't use H-Polish on this corner. Trim dynamic will do it for me. There, that makes more sense. And then use H-Polish to just clean it up. So you see, it was nice that in this exact stream I had a situation where I thought trim dynamic would really help, where H-Polish was kind of not helping. And I could probably still continue to use trim dynamic just to kind of get this more, with a bigger brush size, to get this to be more planar, smooth it down. Now I do have a lot of geometry here, so it is kind of acting a little bit funky, but let's see what that did to that crease. And of course this is, I can zero mesh this at half, keep the groups, do it again. Let's see what that gives us. All right. Not bad, not bad. I'm starting to get these straight edges that I want, that are going to work really good with panel loops in a minute. I might just need to tweak these just a little bit. I just want these to be as much of it in a straight line as possible. I don't mind this curve in the back, but I do want this part to be straight. So that's looking good. And then here, I could probably use AccuCurve to just kind of create a little bit of a corner over here like that. Oops. Keep accidentally just moving it, which I don't want to do. And then do another feature this way. And then I've got a little problem area over here, but it's not too bad. There's this like weird polygroup that decided to be there on its own. So I'm just going to fix that with merge stray groups, right? So here, this thing, I can fix it in a lot of different ways. But the best way to do it is just to stitch these 2 points, stitch 1 and 2, and then just move this out. Here we go. All right. This is coming along really nicely. See, I'm just basically worrying about the borders here, trying to get them to be as crisp as I can. There's this weird kind of feature over here. I can get rid of it, or I can just play into it, which I decided to do. And straighten these guys out. Again, all I'm doing is just hitting this with Shift, adjusting these, getting it to be as much of a straight line as possible. Now when I panel loop this, it's going to look a little bit funky, but it will, it will work. All right, let's see what this gives us. I don't know how familiar I am with the core, but do I know a way of adding, working with, and merging I don't know. I don't know if it's got Sculptress Pro in it. I haven't used Core for a while. I got it when it first came out. I didn't buy it. It came. I got a new Wacom tablet, and at that point in time, there was a promotion that they were having where they gave it to you with a Wacom tablet. So I have my license for it from there. I still have it, and I have upgraded it, but I just never go into it. I would say, see if you can do Sculptress Pro to divide it up, to break it up, and then to add it together, maybe Dynamesh. I think it does have Dynamesh in it. Okay, so let's see what that does. So now I'm going to do one more thing here, which is going to help. I'm going to do a ZRemesh at half, and that's going to give me less polygons, and it's also going to straighten up some of these edges even further. Okay, this is looking pretty decent. I'm just going to harshen some of these corners here with AccuCurve and Move. This one is too curvy. I just want it to be more of like a, here we go, something like that. And you know what's pretty wild, and I should mention this, is that my ISP, so this stream is going off on wireless, which is a trip, right? Like initially it was kind of choppy and it wasn't as good, but they've really kind of upped their game. Hello, new person whose name I cannot pronounce. Hello back. I wish these chats had like a translator built in. I think some of them do. Like I think Facebook does. All right, so this is looking good. I'm going to try and see if one more ZRemesh at half would give me a better. Oh yeah, actually it did. All right, this is looking. Yeah, see, it kind of broke this though, but that's fine. I can re-add that. It's not that big of a deal. So it might work even better. All right, so one thing to do here is if I want to move these on the surface, if I hit, if I click on Move, and I think you move and shift, yeah, and then we'll slide them over on the surface. There we go. I'm just trying to get a sharper edge. How do I change the color of the interface? Good question. So the color of the interface is you just go into Preferences here and Eye Colors, and here are all the colors. Here, let me dock this so you can see it better. Tool, Preferences. So yeah, it's under Preferences and Eye Color. And there are all these buttons that represent different areas. So if you just hover over it, it tells you what it represents, right? So switch button color and whatever. So that's how you can do more granular stuff. Or you can also go up here. Where is it? This one. There are a bunch of different colors that come with ZBrush. So you can just click on this and it will just cycle you through the different colors, right? So you can see here my interface colors are changing, and there's a bunch of different ones. Right? And once you get whatever you want, you can go here under eye colors, right? And you can save your UI colors and you can load them. So my UI colors I've made available for free. So if anybody wants to get them, here, I'm just going to restore my preferences real quick, restore my custom UI, which will bring my own colors. By the way, your custom UI will also restore your colors. But my colors, you can get them by doing this. So just go to my website. Better still, go to my Instagram. If you don't know what my Instagram is, go to my website. So kermaco.com, Kermaco.com. Go to the bottom here, go to my Instagram. And in my Instagram, there is the link tree. So if you just click on my link tree, like here, right? It has links to my Gumroad. And if you go to my Gumroad, you can get my IMM brushes. There's a free version, and there's one that has a little bit more primitives. That's $2.50. And then here's my colors, and it's free. You can just download it from there. If you want to pay something for it, that's fine. But if you don't, that's fine too. Whatever works. So you can get my UI colors there. If you just want this blue and whatever I'm using. Hopefully that answers your question. Should I work with perspective on or off in character sculpting? I go back and forth. Like I don't do one or the other. Like sometimes I like seeing things in perspective because they look better. Like if I'm working on the whole mech. But if I want to work, on certain things isometrically, then I do turn perspective on. So I usually go off and on. With characters, I usually have it on more so than I do with like with vehicles and whatnot. With vehicles, I usually like to work in non-perspective mode, but with characters, I usually have it on. And I usually have it on at like maybe 50, focal length of 50, or sometimes even 80. That's actually not working now because I don't have perspective on, but 50 and then 80 is another one that I use sometimes, or 120 sometimes. It depends on what you're working on. But yeah, with characters I usually have it on. Okay, so I think I've kind of doodled enough on this. I think it's time to do the panel loops. So I'm actually going to use the plugin for this. So Z plugin, and where is it? Panel loops. Panel loop presets. Bam. Let's go with this one right here. Let's do that one. No, I don't want to accept it, but the good news is if I don't accept it, it puts the settings in panel loops for me. So here under geometry, edge loop, panel loops, like it has the settings from that in here. And the problem with it was that the thickness was a little bit too much. So I can even dumb that down to 0.001. Let's see what that looks like. Panel loops. Yeah, that's actually not bad. No, it is bad. I need more thickness than that. 0.005. Let's see what that does. There we go. That's a little bit better. Yep, that's kind of good. But it is definitely kind of rounding it out, and that's happening because I've got polish on somewhere. So polish is at 5. Let's bring that down to 1, and let's do that one more time. Okay, that's a little bit better. And so now what I want to do here is I can still kind of very carefully get some hard corners just by moving these around. And again, I've got AccuCurve on for move. So now I've got kind of harder corners over here for this. And there it is. So now I've got this kind of part. And if I subdivide it, yes, like so. What did this give me? Dynamic subdiv, smooth 2. Why do I have QGrid on? I don't want QGrid. And let's add a flat of 1 and a smooth of 2. Yeah, see, this is kind of giving me an idea of what this thing will look like. And then I can just do a little bit of tweaking, not much, just to get those harsher corners. Sure, man. Anytime. That's what we're here to do. One thing that's great about ZBrush is it's got a great community. And if you watch other streamers, they're all very helpful and they all give you good tips as well. So definitely go to ZBrush Live. Find the kind of work that you like and then follow the streamers. You'll learn a lot. All right, so this piece is kind of more or less done. Now what I want to do here is I don't want to touch these panel loops that I made, but I do want to tweak these. Let me just go to select here. Oh man, I'm 20 minutes over. That's fine. I'm having fun. do this, do this, do this, and oops, do this. Okay, so I don't want to touch any of this. I'm just going to mask it all and bring these back. So now I've got my panel loops, and they're done and they're good. I don't need to mess with them. I just want to make these a little bit more hard surfacey, so I'm just going to polish. It's still on subdivide. It is on dynamic subdivide. I'm just going to apply the dynamic subdivision, so I just have the geometry, and now I'm just, you know, polishing off that kind of, you know, little kind of faceting that was happening because I subdivided it once without smooth on. And I'm just kind of very gently hitting this thing with H polish just to get kind of more of a hard surface look. And then if I bring this back, this is what I have. And I, you know, definitely need to figure out what to do here. I'll probably put some piece in here to break that up. And I definitely want to soften this corner. Like so. By the way, I have a very expensive program. Are you talking about ZBrush being expensive? I mean, I don't know. It's all relative, right? Again, you can always get core. It's less expensive. You can always rent it. You don't have to buy it. You can rent it for a little while, see if you like it. And I mean, I make my living from ZBrush, so, you know, like if I was a farmer, like I wouldn't think of a tractor as being expensive. I'd think of it as something I need to farm. So it's just tools of the trade. All right, so there's that part now, and I'm going to turn off the mask, and it kind of looks, still looks a little bit not as hard surfacey as I like. So I'm just going to create some sharp corners to give it more of that hard surface look, and maybe not at that subdivision level. Maybe bring that down, and also bring back the masking. Right, so now I'm basically just adding some more kind of harder corners to this to get it to look more hard surface. And that's kind of basically what I will be doing. I might do the rest of this on the next. I can't believe I worked on this whole arm this whole stream, but sometimes that's what you got to do. But I'll probably finish this arm off camera. But basically, this is exactly what I would do. I just, you know, you'll see it next time. Excuse me, where I just basically tweak it a little bit, straighten it out, and basically create something like I've done with the hull over here. But this is looking a little bit too fat too, so I might just squeeze it in a bit. Turn on local symmetry. Just a little bit of a squeeze, like so. And push this part in. Boy, I thought I would be really tired today and kind of had to end the stream early, but I've gone completely the other direction. I'm feeling pretty good, and I think I'm just going to continue working on this for another 10-15 minutes if I can. All right, so now I got to figure out what the transition is going to be between this piece right here, which is more of a softer piece. So this is kind of going to be like maybe some sort of a rubbery material or whatever, the inside part. And then this piece is going to be kind of more metallic and more of a piece of metal. So here I'm just trying to get this to be a little bit more hard surface looking. And again, I should do all this with making sure that this part is masked. And this part too. Oops. And panel loops luckily creates polygroups for me, so that's selecting stuff is really easy. There we go. Yeah, I don't want to mess the kind of the connection areas. I just want to straighten out the middle parts. All right, let's see, anything else happening in chat? No. You guys are probably more tired than I am watching this. Yeah, see, I'm just basically getting this to look really kind of like a big panel here that kind of breaks off at some point, like so. And of course, once I add some tertiary details to this, it will look a lot better as well. Let's see if I can do some of that now. Let's use Mike Nash's little things here. That kind of looks neat there. If I go the other direction. Comics Legend, my pleasure, man. Yeah, definitely get that panel loop presets. It doesn't come with ZBrush, but it's free. You can download it from Pixelogic's resource page. All right, so this is looking good here, but it's not going to work with the resolution I have. So I'm going to add a couple more subdivision levels. What's going on? Oh, I have subdivision levels. I just haven't been there. Okay, so let me just go back to here. Just until the point where I hide that and just bump up my subdivision levels to 4, and that's going to look a lot better. Here we go. Yep. So let's say it's got something like that there, and then it's got another one. Here we go. Nope. I don't think this thing's working, so let's try a different brush. How about this one? Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, see? What if I went the other way? That actually works better. All right, so I kind of like this, but I want to do 3 of them. Or 2. Nope. There, that works good. I'm adding that tertiary shape before I'm actually fixing the primary shape, which is kind of a no-no, but I think I'll stay away from that one area. I think it'll be fine. And then I want to just flatten this out, so I'm going to go to Clip Curve and just slap this thing down like that. do this. Oops. That's not good. I want to do this exact same thing, but in the other direction. Like that. So that just is a good way to create a nice sharp corner. And just polish it down. There we go. And then just do same thing over here. Oops. What is going on? That started Alt Shift, press Alt. That's really weird. I guess I just do it with Lazy Mouse too. Where are you, Lazy Mouse? And let's just make that lazy radius way up. There we go. And then H polish to bring this out. See, now I got this nice little hard surface feature right there. It makes this look a lot more realistic. So you kind of saw how I started with Dynamesh, made panel loops, and created this kind of, and I can probably fix this corner here too. So this is kind of weird over here because this is going to have to come down this way. And then just move it in a bit. Here we go. There, oops. There, that sells it. And I probably will continue that over this way. So let's see what that looks like overall. Okay, so now you can see this thing is starting to look more and more like a hard surface piece and fitting into the whole story a bit better. I don't know who it was that asked me to kind of get this to finished level, so I think it's getting there. I think I would add a little bit more tertiary forms in it, but I think the, you know, for the angle we're going to see it at, the panel loops work and this piece works the way it is. I probably will do a little bit more secondary or tertiary shapes on the inner part of the arm, and then I'm going to put some sort of kind of grabby thing over here for this. And yeah, so I think this is a good, you know, I went about half an hour over today, which was good. I didn't even feel it. It was nice. And I think I'm going to stop it at this point. Oops, we don't need all these other things. But this is what it looks like overall. So I think the legs, I'm going to do a little bit more detailed work over here. But we're pretty much very close to being done with the modeling on this. Maybe one more time. If I get time away from work, maybe I will. I'll finish the modeling, and then next time we can just do some painting and shoot it over to Cinema 4D and Redshift. So I'll see if I can do that, and if not, I'll do a little bit more modeling next time and painting. And then the following time we'll do the renders, but we're almost very close to finishing this model up. It's been quite an adventure. I really like how it's turned out. And with that, I will wish you all a good day, good night, or whatever part of day you're having. And happy